Rwanda just walked out of an entire regional bloc, slammed the door so hard it shook Central Africa. Why? Because Congo's president said, "I refuse to work with countries that are destabilizing my nation." And then he did something brilliant. He turned Rwanda's alleged proxy war into a weapon and convinced 9 other countries to choose sides. Welcome to the Strategic Lens. Recently, an increasing number of our viewers have been consistently telling us to do a recap of the hottest news within the week. This week revealed something terrifying: how quickly personal grievances between presidents can shatter entire continental visions. Because what happened at that summit in Equatorial Guinea wasn't just about procedure, protocol. It was about the billions in mineral wealth, proxy wars, and the ugly truth about how power really works in Africa. And by the end of this video, you would understand why what happened in that conference room will determine whether East Africa integrates or explodes. Let me paint you the real picture. Eastern Congo sits on some of the world's richest deposits of minerals: cobalt, coltan, gold, the stuff that powers your phone, your laptop, your electric car. Now, there is this rebel group fighting for their rights. Officially, they are Congolese rebels. Unofficially, they have got Rwandan weapons, Rwandan trained, and somehow they keep capturing exactly the areas where the most valuable minerals are located. What a coincidence! Earlier this year, M23 captured Goma, a city of over 1 million people and the gateway to Congo's mineral heartland. This isn't some kind of bush conflict anymore. So when Rwanda showed up at the Economic Community of Central African States Summit, expecting to take the rotating chairmanship, basically their turn to lead the bloc, the president of Congo, Tshisekedi, had a message: "I cannot sit in an organization led by a country destabilizing my nation." And here is where it gets really messy. Tshisekedi didn't just refuse Rwanda's lead, he lobbied other leaders behind closed doors. Now picture this: corridor conversations, late night phone calls, pressure tactic. If Rwanda chairs this organization, how can we trust them? How can they mediate a conflict they are allegedly fueling? The result? Equatorial Guinea suddenly retains the chairmanship. Rwanda's turn postponed indefinitely. Here's what I need you to think about. Was Congo defending or protecting its sovereignty, or was it just geopolitical chess using regional institutions as weapons? Because Rwanda's response tells us everything about how they saw this move. They didn't just complain, they didn't just threaten, they packed their bags and walked out of this organization. Now, Rwanda is playing the victim here. We are unfairly targeted, institutional manipulation, blah blah blah. But let's be real here. When institutional observers, UN peacekeepers, and even your regional neighbors are all saying the same thing about your involvement in Congo, maybe the problem isn't everyone else's perception. It's the strategic question that should keep you up at night. If a country as small as Rwanda can fracture a regional bloc through one proxy conflict, what does that say about the strength of African institutions? And if you think Congo and Rwanda's tensions are bad, wait until you see what happens when Europeans start telling Africans who they should be friends with. Imagine you are in Mali. You have kicked out French forces, told Germany to mind their own business, and you are finally feeling like you control your own destiny. Sweden sweeps into your DM, talking about your relationship with Russia. But this isn't just about hurt feelings. It's about the death of European influence in Africa. They are getting desperate.
Early June, the Wagner Group declared victory in Mali.
For many years, the Kremlin was content to let Wagner.
In Mali, as well as Burkina Faso and Niger, Wagner has...
See, here's what Sweden really said, and this is between the lines. Your relationship with Russia is really making us uncomfortable. Can you tone it down? Mali's response was swift and brutal. Swedish diplomat, you have 72 hours to leave the country. But let's zoom out and see the bigger game. Why is Sweden really even involved in Mali's business? Because the West is panicking. France used to control West Africa through military bases, economic agreements, the CFA franc. The empire is crumbling. Germany tried to maintain influence through development aid and diplomatic pressure, rejected. Now Sweden thought they could pressure Mali. Through what exactly? Moral authority? IKEA furniture? But here is the question, the strategic question no one is asking. If European countries are still worried about Russian influence in Africa, what does that tell us how powerful African partnerships really are? Because for decades we have been told that Africa needs Europe more than the way Europe needs Africa. Now European diplomats are getting kicked out left and right, and somehow African countries are just doing fine. And I want to know, do you think Mali is making smart strategic choices, or are they just trading one form of dependency with Russia? But while everyone is choosing sides in these diplomatic wars and dramas, one country completely decides to focus on something different. Tanzania just opened the largest bridge in East and Central Africa, and I am convinced their president is playing chess while everyone is playing checkers. This isn't just a bridge, people. This is a statement. While Congo and Rwanda are destroying regional cooperation, Mali and Sweden are having diplomatic tantrums. Tanzania is building the future. Look at what this bridge actually does. It connects Tanzania's mining regions to its commercial centers. It cuts transportation costs. It facilitates trade with Rwanda, Uganda, and Congo. Wait, did I just say it facilitates trade with Congo and Rwanda? The same countries that just walked out of a regional bloc summit because they couldn't stand each other? This is a genius move. While politicians are playing chess games, Tanzania is building infrastructure that makes your game irrelevant. Think about the strategy here. Tanzania has been quietly positioning itself as a stable, reliable partner in East Africa. No coups, no proxy wars, no explosions. So while everyone else is arguing who to align with globally, Tanzania is saying, let's align with ourselves first. But here's what I want you to consider. Is Tanzania's approach more dramatic than the power plays we're seeing elsewhere? Because while Rwanda spends money on alleged proxy wars, Tanzania invested $300 million in this bridge. In 10 years, that bridge is generating billions in trade revenue and connecting millions of people. Where do you think the real power would be? And this reveals something profound about African development that most people miss. Speaking of things people miss, someone in Kenya thinks the most famous trial in human history needs a retrial. A Kenyan lawyer just filed a case challenging Jesus Christ's sentencing by Pontius Pilate as miscarriage of justice. Now I can imagine the lawyer saying in court in 2025 that, Your Honor, my client was completely innocent. Now before you laugh this off as a publicity stunt, and it probably is, there is something deeper happening here. Kenya has one of Africa's most robust legal systems. Their courts have challenged presidents, overturned elections, protected constitutional rights. So when a Kenyan lawyer files a symbolic case about historical injustice, he's operating in a legal culture that actually believes that courts can deliver justice against power. Now think about that for a moment. In how many African countries could a lawyer file a case, even a symbolic one, challenging any form of authority without facing consequences? So is this lawyer making a point about justice, about the strength of Kenyan institutions, or just going viral? And does it matter? Because in a week where we have seen regional blocs fracture, diplomatic relations explode, and proxy wars escalate, maybe there is something beautiful about a country where someone can literally take on the ultimate authority figure and expect a fair hearing. Now let me hit you with some rapid-fire strategic intel that didn't make the headlines but should shape how you think about African integration. Morocco and Ghana just eliminated visa requirements for each other's citizens. But there is a deeper strategic game at play here. It's not just about tourism. Morocco has been systematically building influence in West Africa for years. They rejoined the African Union in 2017 after 33 years away. The visa deal isn't just about tourism, it's about political and economic penetration. Morocco wants to position itself as the gateway between Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. They are essentially saying, we are not just North African, we are Pan-African. Now, what's Ghana's strategic calculation here? Because Ghana also has something at play. Ghana gets access to North African markets. We're talking about Algeria, Tunisia, Libya through Morocco's networks, opens new trade routes that don't go through traditional European ports. Now, on another news, Chad didn't officially join the Sahel states as it was claimed by some viral posts over the internet. But the fact that people believed it shows how quickly African alliances are shifting. The AES, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger represent something new. African countries choosing African solutions over Western ones. Now let me tell you what last week really revealed, because none of these stories are separate events. Rwanda walking out of the ECCAS, Mali kicking out Swedish diplomats, Tanzania building infrastructure while others fight. They are all symptoms of the same seismic shift. The post-colonial era in Africa is dying. The system where European powers mediated African disputes, where regional blocs followed Western models, where African countries competed for Western approval. That system is collapsing in real time. But here is the terrifying part. We don't know what is replacing it. Are we seeing African countries finally asserting sovereignty? Or are we watching a new scramble for Africa with different players? Because Tanzania's bridge represents one vision: African solutions, regional integration, infrastructure-led development. But Rwanda's proxy war represents another vision: zero-sum competition, resource grabbing, using African institutions as weapons against other African countries. The most dangerous moment for any system is when it's dying but hasn't been replaced yet. Every single story this week, from proxy wars to diplomatic explosions to infrastructure victories, they are all votes for what kind of Africa we are going to build. The question isn't whether Africa is powerful. The question is whether Africa would use that power to lift each other up or tear each other down. So drop your comments below. Which vision of Africa's future are you betting on? Integration or fragmentation? And subscribe, because next week we are investigating why China just completely changed its whole strategy on Africa. And the reason will make you question everything you thought you knew about African development. Spoiler alert, it's not about being nice. But before then, I want you to watch this video. You're going to enjoy it.